Hello. This is a story from Ethiopia. It's called The Goat Well. There was a young man called Waharia, and he was travelling through the desert until he came upon a well. When he looked inside, it was a dry well, and he noticed that there was a goat bleating at the bottom of the well. Waharia climbed down into the well, tied a rope around the goat, climbed back out, and he was just pulling that goat out of the well when who should come by but a merchant with 6 camels and bags of grain and bags of gold. The merchant saw Waharia pulling the goat out of the well and said, "What have you got there?" "Ah," said Waharia, thinking quickly, This is a goat well." "A goat well?" said the merchant. "Yes, you put 2 goat horns in the evening, and then the next morning the goat appears." "Really?" said the merchant. "I've never seen anything like that." "Oh, it's very rare," said Waharia. "Very, very rare indeed. I mean, this was passed down to me from my grandmother to my mother, and now to me. You can't find them easily." "I would like to buy it," said the merchant. "Buy it?" said Waharia. "I mean, I can't possibly sell it to you. I mean, you wouldn't be able to afford it." "I'll tell you what," said the merchant. "I'll give you a camel." "1 camel?" said Waharia. "1 camel? That's ridiculous. I mean, if you think about it, 7 goats a week, 28 goats a month, 365 goats a year. Do you think that's equivalent to 1 camel? Okay, maybe I'll give you all my camels." "You give me all your camels and your bags of grain and your gold, and then you can have the goat well," said Waharia. "Okay," said the merchant, excited about his new purchase. "Oh, before you go," said the merchant, "what's your name?" "Ah," said Waharia, "they call me Where I Shall Dance." "Where I Shall Dance? That's a very odd name." "That's what they call me," said Waharia, and he jumped up onto the camel at the front and rode away into the distance. The merchant, meanwhile, found 2 goat horns. He threw the goat horns into the well and waited till the next morning. Got up early and looked, and all there was 2 goat horns at the bottom of the well. "Oh, goats, where are you? Maybe I didn't put enough goat horns," he thought. He scoured the countryside. He found all the goat horns that he could and threw them into the well in the hopes that some of them, or at least one of them, would turn into a goat. And do you think they did? No, of course not. And then the merchant realized he'd been tricked. He realized he had to go and find that man who had taken his camels and bags of gold. Waharia, meantime, had arrived at the next oasis, and there he settled in a small house. People knew that he had arrived, and certainly the chief had noticed that a young man had arrived recently. So when the merchant on foot arrived some weeks later and walked into the market square and said, excuse me, do you know where I shall dance?" "Where I shall dance?" said the people. Dance here, dance wherever you like." No, said the merchant. "Do you know where I shall dance?" "We've told you," said the people. "You can dance here." The merchant wasn't pleased at all, but news of this reached the ears of the chief. Now, the chief knew about the man who had arrived recently, and he said, "Pass a message to Waharia, to this young man, and say that someone has come to see him, and his name is What I Shall Do." Waharia duly made his presence in front of the chief. "Excuse me, sir," he bowed towards him. "How can I help?" "I've come to see what I shall do." "I know exactly what you shall do," said the chief. You shall give back the merchant his camels, his bags of gold and grain, for you have tricked him, you have stolen from him. And so that's exactly what Wuharia had to do. He gave back to the merchant the bags of gold and the camels and the grain. But the merchant was a kindly man, and he did let Wuharia have one camel. So Wuharia could start his own business. And after that, Wuharia never tried tricking people ever again and was very honest in his dealings. So, have you ever tried to trick anyone? Did it work? Isn't it better not to?